there's the first muck-up of the night. 4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a terrific show off. Ben Gregory now, I love this. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, good evening, everybody. Good evening indeed, and welcome to the season finale of the second season of the Chaz Draycott Media Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com. Also sponsored by Abruzzi Racewear and Sim Racing Magazine. We're here at, well, an amazing circuit that has often seen many Formula 1 grand finales as well. Suzuka, a fantastic track in the middle of Japan that really does provide a lot of challenges for these drivers. Very slippy Japanese tarmac, as it is oh so famous for, and usually very humid conditions and high temperatures. My name is Chaz Draycott, and I'm delighted to be sharing the commentary box for the final time this season with the wonderful Ed May. Ed, we've had a great championship coming up to this point, and unlike last time, sure, we've got less rounds, it's actually going down to the wire.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Chaz. It's going to be great to see all of the action here in the season finale, the 10th round of the Formula 1 World Championship. And it's, well, going to go right down to the wire. The pace of Jake Cranston in practice has looked very good, but he needs to have that and more if he's to best Cam Dance. The gap is 8 points from first to second, and we saw an 8-point swing in Jake Cranston's favour last time out at Monza, so he's done it once before. Can he do it again?
Yeah, well, you never know, do you, Ed? That's the thing in this championship. It certainly goes one way, then the other. There are your championship standings. Cam Dance on 107 points to Cranstone's 99. Pete Harrod is in third place, hoping to hold off Sam Fitzpatrick for the finale. He was actually round at mine the other night, was Pete Harrod, and explaining that he wants to make sure that he still beats Sam in the championship, but he knows that Sam's going to give it everything. There's great battles behind as well. Hoffman just ahead of Ericsson, who unfortunately isn't here this evening, but we wish him all the best. Kevin Zemstra, Jack Stiles and Silas Craig-Vrolick all separated by just 6 points. It's close in the teams championship as well, though, because Williams, Mechachrome, sure, they've got it all wrapped up, but look at 4th and 5th, and then 6th, 7th and 8th. Jordan Mugen, Honda and Ferrari only separated by 6 points, and then Sauber, Petronas, Arrows, Yamaha and Stuart Ford all separated by just 2. So we're going to keep our eye on those points as the evening goes on, and of course see who comes out on top in each of those championships, and see who can at least bring us the season finale that we really want, to be fair, Ed, because Suzuka is a dramatic circuit to go racing at, but I think we've got so many opportunities here to have even more drama inflicted in a championship as frantic as this.
Yeah, definitely the drivers gearing up for qualifying, and it's significant for the top 2 in the championship because it gives that one extra bonus point, and that's going to be so important for the drivers battling away. It was what Jake Cranston did last time out at Monza, where he got pole position. It made it a lot easier for him to close down that gap to Cam Dance, who was yet to join the session. He does tend to arrive rather late, obviously, with the time difference as Kevin Zemstra goes through the alternative pit lane.
I love that. We'll see people
Not
doing
sure
that.
if he's going to do that in the race.
Hope not. I absolutely hope not. But the man that's in front of him on the circuit is the one with it all to do this evening. Jake Cranstone, of course, hoping to take that championship crown. 8 points ahead of is Cam Dance at the moment. Basically, if Cam finishes 5th and Jake, even with pole position and a win, actually no, they would be tied on points. If Jake gets pole and a win and Cam finishes 5th, they would tie on points, and Jake would win the title on victory countback, because they've actually got 4 wins apiece now as the season reaches this point, which is pretty amazing considering before now, Ed, until, well, halfway through this season, nobody had ever won more than 1 race in the championship. So Jake has certainly brought everything he could to the table. It's just that he's missed that 1 round, so it's all a big what if, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is, but all he can do is focus on the here and now and maximise the points from this evening, and then essentially you can look back and say, well, I did all I could do, really, and it was just something you couldn't control at the end of the day. Obviously, not being able to attend for whatever reason, real life has to come first.
It does. It does. We've
But
actually...
Cam Dance,
Oh.
he's been consistent, and I think that's been his real benefit. The only time we've seen that consistency sort of slip away was last time out in Monza. And is that going to be potentially a sign that the pressure of leading and having Jake Cranston closing down to him could be getting to him?
You never know. It certainly could have an effect. I just noticed there that Sam Fitzpatrick's car didn't have its livery on for some reason, so I have to figure that out behind the scenes. Apologies there, everybody. But we now have a great mix of drivers out on the circuit. Michael Jones is back with us as well for the final round. We've got 17 drivers, I believe, taking part in the final race meeting of the season. Jack Stiles is up there in 3rd place at the moment for Stewart. Pete Harrod is up there in 5th as well. Ben Chalcraft, car 8, P8 at the moment for him. And hopefully he has some good luck on his side for this final race meeting of the season. There's a big slide around the first couple of corners there. Look at it, still sideways as he goes through shot. And there is John Roberts in the Minardi as well. He and his teammate Rob Lundgren both scoring points this season, which they are very happy about to have got some points on the board. I do want to go and have a quick look back at Sam Fitzpatrick, though, because his car, for some reason, hasn't been displaying its livery, if you bear with me. Yeah, it's still not. What on earth has happened to Sam Fitzpatrick's livery? At my end, for some reason, he's got a Brawn livery on the car that's very, very green. I don't know what's gone on
It might have been from... Has he got trading paints open or something? Because that, I think, was the livery he used in the pre-season test.
Yeah.
When we had all the drivers running
the
various liveries. Same with all of the Circuit Superstars drivers. They all had their respective liveries.
Yeah, it's not open I'll recopy the paint pack back into the sim. We'll give it a refresh, so all the cars will go white for just a little bit. Good to see some of you in the chat as well. Hello, everybody. We've got Crimson in the chat. Hal Raven up there as well saying Team Price. Woo! Sean Gardner. Chaz. Sean. Hi. Alex DC5 saying it's the fireman voice guy again. Of course, Alex. Of course. For any of you that missed Monza and didn't see the broadcast or hear what there was of it, I've do a voiceover for the Nottinghamshire Fire and Rescue Service training material. I told a friend of mine that, and since then, well, that's been the joke. I am the fireman voice guy. Alex was wondering whether it would be hilarious, of course, if any of those guys that ever get trained by that material somehow hear my voice commentating on motorsport and think, hang on, isn't that the same bloke? Still. We move to the virtual Suzuka for the final meeting of the season. It goes quiet, and for the last time in this championship, this time round, we will have our glorious one-shot qualifying. I want to give a quick thank you to Nico Minardi as well, of course, the man behind F1Countdown.com. Thanks to Abruzzi Racewear, and thanks also to Sim Racing Magazine. That's Ben Llewellyn and Andrew Marston for their support of the championship this season. And obviously for all of the drivers for putting in the time and effort to make this one-shot qualifying work as well. A lot of choreography and cooperation goes into this, and the guys do a fantastic job of making it work every time round. Sure, we have the odd hiccup here and there, but it's very minimal, and it's hard to tell unless you are sort of behind the scenes and watching it happen. We do not have with us Jesper Eriksson this evening, or Silas Kragvrolik, I'm afraid, which is a real shame. But there's a few drivers not able to make it. I don't think Tom Minot has been able to make it either for Arrow's Yamaha tonight, so that could be a bit of a blow in terms of their championship, Ed, because let's not forget it's Sauber, Arrows and Stewart that we really need to keep an eye on for that 6th place in the Constructors. Ferrari trying to beat Jordan, but again, just one of them here tonight without Jesper Eriksson on show.
Yeah, but again, that's also significant because that means that Jake Cranston is without his teammate. As Michael Jones has a little bit of a spin. That's it though. Jake Cranston doesn't really have any help from his teammate in the race, whereas both of the Williams can work together. Obviously, Sam Fitzpatrick is hungry for his first race victory, so might not necessarily be ready to play ball. Cam Dance will have that option available to him. Whereas Jake Cranston, it's just going to be him on his lonesome in that McLaren.
Certainly is, and it does make a difference at the end of the day. There are drivers that have said in the past that even though, you know, you're thrown into a team with somebody you're not normally teamed up with outside of the sim, you still do feel the effect of not having someone to work with, because there's such a friendly atmosphere in this championship and such great camaraderie that the drivers really do get on board with working with their teammates, even if they're not people that they're not usually racing with outside of the series. So again, big thanks to the drivers for embracing that and keeping the fun alive in the series. You know, it is a fun championship, this. We really do try and make it as fun as possible in every way, and the drivers really do embody that as well. Let's go on board with Michael Jones, shall we, as we go down the horrendously long start-finish straight here at Suzuka. It's going to be a key part of the track here, Ed, because the drivers will have a long time to think about turn one, but obviously a lot of slipstreaming to do. For some reason, the bridges aren't showing up at my end either, so whatever graphics changes I made last week has really made a horrible effect. I did wonder why the little bridge at the end of the lap near the chicane wasn't showing up. So apologies everybody for losing what are almost iconic bridges here at this Japanese circuit. Well, Michael Jones pushing on through the S's up the hill. This is so difficult to get right in the car like this, isn't it, Ed? Because it wants to break away and have that horrible four-wheel drift, and it's always too late when you find out that it's doing a little bit more than that.
Yeah, and it's all about the flow through there, and if you miss one apex, then you're more likely than not going to be missing the next one, and then the one after that. It's just a horrible cascade of mistakes that can really creep in if you're not on it. I love that kind of, you can just chuck it in. The same with there, use the camber to your advantage, and deceptive because it looks tighter than it actually is, and because of the camber you can just yuck it through. This one obviously the driver slowed down a little bit more. Look at that though, using all of the circuit. That's quite a nice line through there by Michael Jones.
Yeah, it was an interesting line
further
actually.
Back, actually. Rob Lundgren, I'm going to see what his line's going to be like through there.
Oh, well.
Just catch the tail end, but it was, I think, a similar sort of approach.
Yeah, in early and actually like wide on the exit rather than sort of really pinching the apex and, I don't know, gradually going over to the right. The guys ran it quite deep, but it seemed like it was a very smooth way of going about it. as Rob just tips the car into spoon curve. This is where these cars are going to be some of the most difficult little blighters in the world to keep hold of, because of the fact that you're braking, you're changing down through the gears, you're steering the whole time, and that's basically where this car is at its worst. They'll be flat through 130R all night, like they were at Blanchimont a few weeks ago at Spa-Francorchamps. It's looking good for Michael Jones at the moment to set a valid lap time at least, but Rob Lundgren has him done on most sectors by the look of it. 6 sectors around this lap here at Suzuka. Michael Jones, of course, doing a purple final sector as the first man to cross the line. 2 minutes, just over 2 minutes for Michael Jones. Rob Lundgren crosses the line, 2 minutes 0.53 to beat, and I assume it's going to be, yes, 1.1 seconds quicker. A 1:58.924 for Rob Lundgren in the Minardi Ford, and he goes on to provisional pole position of the 2 cars that we've seen so far. But next up, it's Tyrrell and one of the Stewarts trying to take a place in the Constructors' Championship.
There we go. Simon Price into turn 1. You chuck the car and then you've got to slow it down for the second corner. Lovely little shot low. You can see the suspension compressing through the bumps. This is a little bit better from Simon, just getting the apexes just a little bit shy of there, but again, you don't necessarily want to be touching the curbs because that does unsettle the car, and with the tyres as cold as they are, you don't really want to give it any more excuse than it already wants to break loose and spin you around. Try to compare sector times with Toby Ward. As you can see, chucking it through. That was really nicely done. Sector times compared to Toby Ward, it's about a 10th quicker by Simon Price compared to the Stewart in behind.
I was just going to say, actually, it was the way that the car sort of got dragged inwards very suddenly by the curb. He hit that front right against the quick little nifty curb on the right-hand side, and it flung the car sideways, but it really worked out for him. He sort of knew that it was going to happen and took advantage of it, did Simon. So he really, really did a good job through there, because it's so easy to lose that. That was, of course, through the first of the 2 Degners. We've then got the long spoon curve that he's on now into the backstretch. It literally is called backstretch as well as they go back up the hill. The other car on a lap is Toby Ward in the Stewart Ford. Can't ignore that Toby's out there. He's doing a good job of his real-world racing at the moment as well, and his hill climbing, using that to his advantage and learning a bit more in terms of how the cars relatively behave in comparison to the sim. Simon Price about to come out of the Casio Triangle though, round what is literally called last curve. Hugs it to the right-hand side as they all will during quali. The start-finish line is very, very close to the final corner, and it's a 1:58.350 for Simon Price, which puts him fastest by half a second over Rob Lundgren. So big differences in the times, but I suppose with it being nearly 2 minutes a lap here, Ed, we're expecting to see that, aren't we? It's not a sprint race sort of lap time around here.
Here we go then, up to the line. What can Toby Ward do as he breaks the beam?
Already invalidated.
Already invalidated. Oh my word, that is a catastrophe. So he's going to be starting way at the back at a circuit that's so tight and twisting and technical. There are opportunities to overtake, but it's going to be tricky, I think. Not quite the same circuit as Monza, where qualifying doesn't matter as much. John Roberts, he starts off his lap in behind Martin Kenyon. Martin's been having some great performances in qualifying recently, hasn't he, Chaz?
Yeah, he's been really showing a lot of strength in the final couple of rounds of the season, let's say, or the latest rounds of the season. I've realised that the helmets, for some reason, haven't transferred as well. I think Trading Paints has done something, but I don't remember opening a replay of any of these cars for it to delete them as Kenyon's very sideways on. He's overdone it. We had to commentators curse him, didn't we, Ed? Unfortunately, Martin ends up in the barrier, stuck in the barrier as well. Just overdid it, that slight bit. You'll see the car just goes sideways here on the way in. Oh, I think he's just tapped the grass. It's a great drift, but then it kisses the Astro again and locks itself into the barrier. That's horrible stuff for Martin Kenyon, which puts him out of contention in this qualifying session. John Roberts is going to be the next car then to set a time. We'll stay with him as he comes out of the 180 hairpin. That's a massive, massive shame that for Martin Kenyon. He has been genuinely very strong, hasn't he?
Yeah, it shows how temperamental the tyres can be as well, and that was more a case of actually overheating them. The slide through, it worked so much kinetic energy through the tyres, which heated them up. So then when he got onto the AstroTurf, I think he just put his foot a bit too harshly on the accelerator, and all of a sudden, the rears spun up and sent him into the wall.
John Roberts now flying down towards 130R. I love that shot down there. It's so dramatic as they come close to the old pit wall, or the alternative pit wall for the West circuit here at Suzuka, which I remember used to be a lot of fun on Forza Motorsport. Loved that. As now into the Casio Triangle goes John Roberts, a real key part of the circuit. We get a lovely sort of curved shot as the cars stay almost parallel to the camera around there at that part of the track. Across the line goes John Roberts. He did a purple sector 2. He's gone half a second off Simon Price. So Simon remains the fastest car at the moment on the grid with a 1:58.350. But John Roberts, of course, setting that purple sector 2, will be really pleased with his pace around there. John Tusting next up in the Prost Peugeot. He's hugging it all the way over to the left-hand side. You may as well, hadn't you, Ed, use all of the circuit to get a smooth, sweeping run round that final corner to carry as much speed as you can down the start-finish straight.
There we go. Nice and clean. Just a little bit of a kiss of the curb on the inside, and that unsettled it. You can see he was a little bit hesitant out of turn 2. But this is so important. It's just to get the flow right, because it sets you up for the rest of the lap, really. If you can nail this, then you know you're not really worrying about chasing time. You can just hit your marks. Whereas if you have a bad first sector, you can spend all of the time trying to claw back that lost time, pushing a little bit too hard, and that's where the mistakes creep in. That's where the drivers tend to invalidate their laps. Nicely done, though, through the corner where his teammate had the mistake. It's looking a lot cleaner, this, from John Tusting. His hairpin. So many drivers are trying different lines, and I think that's probably the best way to do it, is to go for that later apex. Carries plenty of speed into the corner, and sort of, like you say, pinches it on the exit.
Yeah, he does, doesn't he? Just uses enough of it to his advantage. It's interesting to see those different lines that people are using, though, and it's always good to see when they work and when they don't over the course of a session, over the course of an evening. And the next car behind John Tusting, by the way, is going to be Ben Chalcraft, who's currently on a fast lap. He's just come out of the hairpin in his Damon Hill replica lid with the reversed colours. He's done that because of the fact that Pete Harrod runs a mainly black lid, so you can tell them apart very easily with Ben Chalcraft running the white lid on the car. He's just coming through Spoon Curve now, nice and smooth for Ben, hoping that he has a better night of it. As out of the final chicane now comes John Tusting. 2 yellow sectors for him on this lap, though, so he's not been pushing as hard on his flying lap as he did on the other one. It'll be a banker for now. It's only a 1/10 of a second off Simon Price, though, for John Tusting, so not a bad time at all. But now we look to Ben Chalcraft to see what he can do with a purple Sector 5, Ed.
I love how the cars lean so far to the right-hand side as it goes through the left-hander. A little bit of a lock-up, though, into Casio Triangle. That might upset his rhythm coming out of the corner, the complex up to the line, hugging very tightly, though, to the barrier. And as he breaks the beam, goes over the line. It's not enough for pole position. Simon Price continues to hang on provisionally to the top spot. Ben Chalcraft can only muster second place.
16 thousandths of a second ahead of John Tusting. He'll be kicking himself for that little mistake at the end, I think. The next car up is the only Arrows that we have out there this evening, which is Stuart Clark. Stuart having a pretty solid season, it has to be said, at this moment in time. He's 11th in the standings with 29 points. Could overtake Mike Murphy if he has a good night and Mike doesn't this evening. But we'll have to wait and see how they manage that. Mike is actually the other car right now that is on a lap, as with the fact that they're next to each other in the championship. Ben Chalcraft does a purple Sector 2 on his in-lap. We see that a lot with the tyres coming into temperature by the time they've done 3 laps of the circuit. Mike Murphy pushing on in the Sauber Petronas. Again, they're going up against Arrows in terms of the Teams Championship for this evening. There's only 2 points between Sauber and Arrows, and then Arrows are actually tied with Stewart on points as well. So we'll keep our eyes on that and obviously inform you as much as we can over the course of the evening. Let's have a look at Stuart Clark through the hairpin. See, that's the sort of line we expect, isn't it, really? Taking it tight on the apex and letting it run out wide on the exit. But earlier, the guys looked quick through there, but I'm not sure if it would have been.
Mike Murphy's on a good lap here. He could be a shot for provisional pole. He's had a very quick purple first sector. Sauber's seemingly going well, although he is obviously without his teammate Nico Minardi, so it makes that job you were just describing, the battle between Sauber and I believe Arrows in the championship, that a little bit harder, but I think it is actually just the lone Arrows as well, so
yes.
Never mind, it's level pegging yet again between the pair of them. But look at those purple sectors coming through from Mike Murphy. He is really pushing hard, doing an almost Nico Minardi-esque qualifying, but for it to be truly Nico Minardi-esque, he'll have to make a mistake and invalidate it in the next few corners.
Ed, no. Oh god! As you teed that up, I thought, please don't do it.
He went for it.
He went for it. I'm sure Nico wouldn't mind it too much. He knows that he's quick. It's just something that I think he's going to be focusing on for season 3, which is going to be coming up in the future, won't it, Chaz?
No. Mike Murphy crosses the line and takes pole position by nearly half a second. 1:57.654 for Mike Murphy. A great lap time and a great job all round by him. Stuart Clark did a 1:58.14 and took pole position shortly before that while we were discussing, so apologies Stuart, but well done on the time. Now this is the man that could make the difference in this fight though. Jack Stiles for Stuart Ford. He and his teammate Toby Ward both here this evening, whereas the two teams in front of them, who are only 2 points clear, and let's not forget these guys are tied with Arrows, they only have one car each ahead of them, so it's certainly up in the air. Jack on track actually with his teammate from Season 1, Kevin Zemstra. They raced together at Ferrari in Season 1. Kevin remains there this season as well. Technically he is teammates with Jesper Eriksson at the moment in the last couple of rounds, but Jesper unfortunately not able to make this final meeting, which could have really shaken up the order even more at the front of the field, because he was another one of those unknown elements, wasn't he? Right at the top, wasn't he, Ed?
Yeah, he was. I mean, it was a great performance by Jack Stiles in Monza. He's going to be looking to have another repeat of that here in Suzuka.
Well, it was actually Kevin that he had contact with as well, wasn't it?
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, it was the pair of them. Oh, so it was... it might be on for round 2 here to round out the season. It's going to be very exciting, but you can see they're trading purple sectors here. Jack Stiles with 2 back-to-back in the 3rd and 4th. Kevin Zemstra with a purple in the 2nd. I'm just looking at the actual sector times themselves, and Jack Stiles was a full 10th of a second quicker through the 3rd sector, but he lost so much time in the 2nd compared to Kevin, around about 3-4 tenths. So that's a huge amount of time that was lost. I think Kevin might just have this, but then again, the last few sectors have been really quick by Jack trying to claw it back.
Interesting little moment there by Jack. He was obviously, because of how much they can take 130R flat and not use all the road, he was actually entering it from the inside of the circuit rather than being on the outside and sweeping across, so it looked very good indeed. And Jack Stiles does indeed go fastest by just over 3 tenths of a second, or just under 4 tenths of a second. Kevin Zemstra setting some purple sectors as well for Ferrari. What can he do now in the Scarlet bodywork? And he improves by another 0.37 of a second and goes quickest. So epic stuff by these guys right near the top of the order. But wow.
It was that 2nd sector. I think there must have been a mistake by Jack somewhere, because Kevin took out so much time relative to Jack there.
There's been a bit of a kerfuffle or a change in the order here, because Sam Fitzpatrick is next up on the grid, or next up in the session. He should be... Where is Ben Hoffman in all this? Yeah, Ben is just coming to the line in the background. Ben should be ahead of Sam, actually, at this point, but... I mean, Sam's not one for holding back this season. He's shown us that. Seems to have a different lid for this round of the championship as well. Like I say, some of the lids and other bits seem to have gone for me, and I'm really not sure why. So I'm very sorry, everybody. But Trading Paints has clearly been open at some point somewhere with these cars and has got rid of stuff. It isn't open this evening. I'm not sure if I've had a replay open or something and it's affected it then. Still, Sam Fitzpatrick, one of the hardest chargers in the championship. And then Ben Hoffman as well, another real star to watch. Usually in the Sebastian Vettel lid, which is white with the German tricolour down the middle. But again, doesn't seem to be showing here this evening, despite having it in the folder. I've checked it's all in the right place, so not a clue what has caused it. I'm really sorry, everybody. But right now, no purple sectors from either of them at this moment in time here, Ed. We do expect it from Sam.
Yeah,
He's promised us a win, but it's not...
Sam's gone for the title line. Let's see what Ben does through there, just to get the direct comparison.
Oh, well...
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, we just catch it. I think Ben took it actually slightly tighter than Sam. Sam seemed to be wider on the exit, whereas Ben went for a very sort of tight approach. Made sure he got the car straightened up sort of quite late in the corner, but it seems to be all right. Both sort of different schools of thought for how to take that corner, essentially balance each other out. I think the approach by Ben seems to be quicker through the corner, whereas Sam seems to be quicker out of the corner. And then by the time they get to the next corner, it all sort of evens out in the time that they gain or lose.
Yeah, there's an odd balance to it, isn't there, to say the least. Still, we'll watch them push on into the final moments of the session. We'll get Sam Fitzpatrick coming across the line. What can he do then as he finishes his attempt at pole position? He goes third fastest, nearly 7/10 of a second off Kevin Zemstra. He won't be too pleased with that, will Sam? But at the end of the day, he's just got a push, and Hoffman goes quicker than him as well. 0.2 of a second quicker goes Ben Hoffman. A great lap by the Benetton driver, and I'm sure he'll be pleased with that one to be ahead of Sam going into the final moments of the season. 3 cars to go now, Ed, and, well, 2 of them at least in the title hunt at least. Pete Harrod, though, missing last time out and dropping out of the title race, but still, he's been a great addition to the championship this season.
Oh, 100%. One thing, though, that I'm keeping my eye on will be Jake Cranston in behind for the championship. If he's giving himself the best possible chance of winning it, he will need pole positions. This has got to be the lap of dreams here in Suzuka. Cam Dance is just getting started on his warm-up, so he knows exactly what he needs to do is just to extend and make even more secure his lead, is to take that pole position for himself. So this is it, essentially a battle between the pair of them. Jake with a little bit of a correction through that right-hander, but the purple sector is certainly good to have underneath his belt.
Yeah, please do forgive me, everybody, but I am going to refresh the paints now while we've got these guys on track, just a couple at a time. I have re-downloaded the entire paint pack that I set up, which I think already had some of the helmets in it. We'll see Pete Harrod's lid is definitely there, so that's good. But I think Pete's was one of the ones
blisteringly fast.
Yeah, he's
so is
absolutely
Pete.
On it, isn't he? Pete's
Pair
actually...
of them are just going for it. Pete's got a good first sector. The second let him down, but that third is really quick. A little bit faster actually than Jake Cranston, so it could be a shout here for Pete to have that original pole position. Although with no real improvement in the 4th sector, it's going to be tricky. He needs to absolutely nail these next few corners.
Sam Fitzpatrick not too far ahead of Pete actually at this point. It's not often we see them this close together on track. They should be about 10 seconds apart, but Sam's not going to be giving him any slipstream or having any effect on Pete's lap from there. Nice and aggressive through that chicane, but getting it right was Pete Harrod. Across the line he goes. Sorry, it's actually Cam Dance, isn't it? Not Sam Fitzpatrick. As Pete now crosses the line and goes second fastest. What about Jake Cranstone trying to go for the title tonight? No other purple sectors on the lap except for the final one, and Jake Cranstone goes fastest by 0.2 of a second. He's absolutely nailed it, has Jake. Great time indeed, and that's exactly what he needs to do in the early stages of this qualifying session, or at least in the early stages of tonight. It's very late on in the actual, well, the actual session itself is right at the end. Cam Dance then, next up. And again, look, for some reason the helmet not working at my end. I really don't know why. Usually, if you have the helmet within the actual car folder on iRacing, that's where you get it, basically. It applies to that car. I'll move them out into another one and I'll see whether I can get it in the overall paints folder and see
Watching the sectors here, Chaz, Cam has not been doing enough. He's about a 10th, no, not already a 10th, he's a few hundredths off in sector 1 and again a few hundredths off in sector 2. So he's needing to have a really good sector 3. That was where Jake Cranston struggled a little bit. Going to be close, I think, right down to the wire. Sector 3 is good for Cam. He's managed to claw back a little bit of time, but not so much through sector 4, so he's struggling a little bit here. Just chasing that time, like you said, he doesn't get the greatest start to a lap, and then all of a sudden you can push too hard and that actually loses you time.
It does. Very easy to lose time if you push it too hard. As they go now through 130R, flying around there. It's great to watch. But you can see that they really don't have to use all the road as Cam nearly overdoes it onto the brakes into the final chicane, and the final qualifying lap of Season 2 of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com is going to put Cam Dance, reigning champion, in fourth position on the grid. My goodness me. So Jake Cranstone takes another step towards challenging Cam for the title. He gets a point which puts him on 100 championship points for the season and takes him to within 7 points of Cam. So incredibly close now. That would mean that Cam has to finish 5th or higher. And if he does finish 5th with Jake Cranstone winning this race, Ed, that means they'll be tied on points and Jake would win it on race victory countback. So if Cam finishes 4th, he's champion. If he finishes 5th, well, it's all still to play for. Wow.
Well, this is incredibly close. But for my money, this is going to be tricky for Cam Dance because he's now qualified in 4th, right in the thick of it. He's still going to be on the front row. Not the front row, the second row. But coming in towards turn 1 and 2, it's going to be just a huge bun fight in amongst him. And he's going to have to be really with his eyes on the stalks just to know what's going around him and to hopefully get through without any issues. That's going to be, I think, his main focus is to get through turn 1 cleanly. If he loses out a couple of positions, that's fine, as long as he doesn't pick up damage.
Yeah, that's the thing. You need to be so careful, don't you? You need to always make sure that you take it easy wherever you can during these races. We'll have a look at the qualifying results then for the final round of Season 2 of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship, and it is Jake Cranstone who takes another pole position. Behind him, of course, Kevin Zemstra. I'm sorry, my iRacing UI has decided to just pop up over the top of everything. Kevin Zemstra 2nd, Pete Harrod in 3rd, Cam Dance will start from 4th on the grid. Jack Stiles and Ben Hoffman together on the 3rd row. Sam Fitzpatrick down there in 7th with Mike Murphy for company. Stuart Clark and Simon Price round out the top 10. Then it's Ben Chalcraft and John Tusting. John Roberts and his teammate Rob Lundgren for Minardi. Michael Jones in 15th with Toby Ward 16th and Martin Kenyon not setting a lap time either. So 2 of them not quite getting it spot on in that session. And for some reason, yeah, we are still advancing to the next session, but it just says that the warm-up is half an hour and is only just, it's not even properly started yet. So apologies, mate. But it seems to have had some sort of issue
For
somewhere.
me, the warm-up's fine.
Ah.
Warm-up seems to have 10. I pressed the iris and overlay just to have a quick check because I can do that without it appearing on the stream. And it says we've got 10 minutes of warm-up, but the elapsed time is 1 minute 30.
Well, there's a perfect time for us to get things sorted, everybody, because it says that I've been kicked out of the session. iRacing seems to have crashed, as you see here. It's not doing... Well, there's nothing going on. So, bear with me, everybody. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Sorry about this. So sorry about this, everybody, but we will be back in just a moment. There was some strange issue with my keyboard there, so it seemed like the control key was being held down somewhere at all times. So, unfortunately, control and me hitting something else has quit the sim. So, we'll be back in just a moment, and we'll get warm-up out of the way, and then, of course, we'll get on to the final round of the season. You can probably hear even now that the cars have started to make their way around the circuit in the background. as is the joy of how quickly sometimes you can get into the sim here on iRacing. So we'll bring you back to live pictures. We'll bring you back, of course, with Ed May. Sorry about that, Ed, but luckily, technical issue resolved very quickly.
Yeah, that's right. We've got plenty of time still to go in the warm-up, so it's not the end of the world. You've got that issue resolved really quickly, but I'll tell you what, the one driver that we'll be hoping for no issues and a clean race out in front will be our pole sitter, Jake Cranston, after that excellent performance with pole position by, well, almost 0.2 of a second. That's going to be one of the biggest margins for pole we've seen all season long.
Absolutely, yeah. He's going to be very, very happy with that. Big, big confidence going into the final race of the season. A lot of people would still write him off at this point, but honestly, you never know with this championship just how it's going to end up. I mean, Cam is probably still looking over his shoulder here and knowing how tidy he has to keep this. We've seen Cam under pressure before and he performs oh so well. Even Martin Kenyon in the YouTube chat is saying that it doesn't matter where Cam qualifies, he has incredible, incredible racecraft. He does. Unfortunately for Cam, his main curse is his ping, but we've all seen that before, and it's one of those things that I'm sure that he compensates for and other drivers compensate for as well. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but at the end of the day, we know that we're going to get a clean, fair fight between our drivers out there tonight. There's great respect between them all, and I'm looking forward to this final race of the season. What we're going to do there, everybody, is just take a quick 3-minute break here on Chaz Draycott Media, as we usually do. So please do bear with Ed and I, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Ed May here for the final race of Season 2 in the Chaz Draycott Media Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com. We're here at Suzuka for the final race of the season, and of course, there is a lot on the line. Championships to be decided between Cam Dance and Jake Cranstone, the latter putting it on pole position for the final race of the season. And Sam Fitzpatrick not having the qualifying that we would have expected from him, Ed, but it's one of those nights, I think, for Sam. He's pushing so hard to try and get that win at last in this championship that I think he is just doing it a little bit too much at this point, and I think that's going to teach him something for the race. I reckon he's going to chill out a bit more in the race and choose his moment, and we may see some solid racecraft here from Sam.
He might do, but again, I just think Sam, he's not one of those drivers that is wanting to back out. He always loves a good scrap, and I think if he was to change how he approach things, he wouldn't be as quick as he is. I think some drivers can make it work, and let's not forget, Sam's come very close to winning on more than one occasion here, driving the way he has done all season long. So I think he's just not been fortunate at times, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So hopefully we see that same Sam Fitzpatrick that we're used to seeing, see a gap and absolutely go for it. One thing I do hope, obviously, is that there's no contact between the two Williams, because we've seen that before already, and it will have disastrous consequences. Well, not for both of them, because they've already won the team's championship, but certainly for Cam Dance, because he's looking for, well, a historic second title.
He absolutely is. As now we get to crunch time, so the drivers will now start to appear on the grid here at Suzuka for the final time this season, and it's Jake Cranstone and Kevin Zemstra on the front row of the grid. Then it's Pete Harrod and Cam Dance in row 2, with Jack Stiles and Ben Hoffman on row 3. Sam Fitzpatrick next up with Mike Murphy alongside him in 8th. Then it's Stuart Clark and Simon Price rounding out your top 10. Ben Chalcraft is 11th, with John Tusting joining him on row 6. Following them is John Roberts and Rob Lundgren. And then you have Michael Jones 15th, Toby Ward 16th, and Martin Kenyon starting at the back of the pack in 17th after not setting a time in qualifying. 22 laps here of Suzuka, one more car to go onto the grid, and it is Jack Stiles in the Stewart. He lines up, and for the final time this season from Suzuka, the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship by F1Countdown.com is underway. And it's a solid start from the second row of the grid, but Jake Cranstone again bottles the start. He's had no luck with them this season. Kevin Zemstra goes to the front, Cam Dance goes to second, and literally 100 metres off the line, the championship is thrown in the opposite direction of how it was when they were stationary, Ed. Unbelievable, but nice and tidy from everybody further back by the look of it so far.
Yeah, and it's exactly what we were talking about earlier, is that Cam Dance has excellent race.
Oh no, big accident.
That's a
Cranstone's in it. Cranstone's in it.
Off into the wall.
Jake Cranstone's championship hopes have gone from being very slim to almost nothing now, you could say, in the first couple of corners of the race. Incredible stuff. Mike Murphy, Ben Hoffman and Jake Cranstone all involved in that. Let's have a look at how it came about. So this is right at the start. Look, Jake goes absolutely nowhere. Ben Hoffman has to go down the inside of Jack Stiles to try and cover. Pete Harrod's up there in third place in the Jordan on the left-hand side. Jack round the outside of Ben. Who else has he got for company? There's Cranstone behind. There's Mike Murphy in there. I think it's going to be between those two behind, actually. Let's have a look. Mike's gone a little bit hot into there, but he manages to collect it. Jake's on the inside line. Oh, there's a tiny... I think that there was a little tiniest of touches, and I think that upset Jake's car. Sometimes you do see a bit of netcode in it, but I'm not sure.
I think that was just himself. He just over-rotates it going into the corner. We'll have a look here, but I think it's more over the curb than anything else. There's no real contact.
Yeah.
And it's the curb.
Yeah.
It's the curb that takes him out.
Unbelievable stuff. Jake Cranstone off the road. Mike Murphy and Ben Hoffman both involved. Martin Kenyon's had an off as well, I'm afraid. Ben Hoffman's actually jumped back to the pits, so clearly the damaged car not able to be driven. But at the front of the field, it's Kevin Zemstra leading the way for Ferrari. He comes back from 2 podiums on the bounce at the moment to lead this race. He's ahead of Cam Dance, who's gained 2 places. Pete Harrod's gained nothing. He's the only driver that is where he started. Jack Stiles has gained 1. Sam Fitzpatrick's gained 2. Simon Price up into 6th place. He's gained 4. And Toby Ward started 16th on the grid in the Stewart, and he's up to 8th position. So right now, it's looking great for the Stewarts. In 4th and in 8th, as John Tusting has a colossal slide. What a save that is, but a freebie for Ben Chalcraft. John Roberts is now going to try and go past his teammate outside of this championship. Martin Kenyon sees an opportunity as well, as they all get a little bit squirrely through there. Now the other Minardi of Rob Lundgren wants a piece of this. It's Prost versus Minardi here. Hello.
Good Lord, this is a great shot to be on board with Rob Lundgren. You can see all of the battling away. The two Prosts ganging up on the poor little Minardi. Rob Lundgren might fancy a pop at his teammate as well. A little look to the outside, but lots in behind and then a check up as they come into the next corner. But it was both the Prosts getting one over on the Minardis, and it's important for the championship for the Prost to keep scoring good points. Jake Cranston, he's carried on even with the damage. I think, to be fair, he's got plenty of damage that he should be able to come in and get that repaired. Obviously, before the 10th lap, I think that's fair enough, because you can see that entire left-hand side is completely compressed in.
Such a shame that it's gone that way, man. It really is. Mike Murphy was behind the pair of them, so this is how it looked from where he is. Ben Hoffman goes to the inside. It was already sideways-ish on the way into the corner, I think, but it did definitely take the curb to properly spin the thing. We'll see how it looks from on board with Ben Hoffman, shall we, and see whether there was anything that lifted it, even just the slightest. Because look, as they come... Oh, no, definitely not. Definitely not. Unbelievable stuff. And then Ben, unfortunately, not able to carry on after that. Benetton taking a big hit in the Teams Championship, but they are safely in third position. The battle is actually between Jordan and Ferrari, and we've got one of each in the top 5. Ben Chalcraft in the points in the background as well. Sam Fitzpatrick goes past Jack Stiles there for 4th position. But that is not how we want a championship to be decided. But at the end of the day, Ed, from where we sit, we need to look at the positive there, that there wasn't another driver that came into the situation and made a silly move and, you know, ruined it for other people. Unfortunately, Jake just made that little mistake himself and put himself off into the grass.
Dear. It's just been so dramatic already in the first few laps of this race, but it's a big impact for the championship with Jake Cranston all the way down in 16th. And I think you absolutely summed it up great, because it was such a tall order for Jake to try and usurp the lead that Cam Dance had, and now I think his chances are essentially none, really. No. I don't think there's any way back into this for him, as John Roberts talk back ways into it. Well, that's his way into the barrier and out of the race potentially.
Is he just going to kiss the
curb?
curb?
It's bouncing away, just trying to turn right, and it doesn't. There's sort of like a little trough.
Yeah.
I think from the Astro to the curb, and I think it just gets stuck in there.
Speaking of the trough and the curb to the Astro, Kevin Zemstra running very, very wide as well, kissing the Astro turf on the outside of Spoon Curve. The top 5 going very well at the moment. Stuart Clark has got ahead of Simon Price for 6th position. There's still battles going on behind as Ben Chalcraft closes up behind Toby Ward in the Stuart Ford. Love how that rhymes. I'm trying to use that as much as I can. We're on lap 3 here out of 22 in the Japanese Bohr Prix. It's actually the first time I've said that this evening. But now, Jordan Mugen Honda, of course, on home soil as well, hoping to get some solid points out of tonight. Ben Chalcraft wanting to get Jordan ahead of Ferrari when those final points come around. And at the minute, it's certainly going their way, isn't it? They've got a driver in 4th position in Pete Harrod, getting 9 points at the minute, and then 9 points getting 9 position getting 4 points, so 13 going the way of Jordan. And right
Sam
now,
Fitzpatrick, I think, has just overtaken Pete Harrod actually to put the Jordan down into 4th.
Yes, he has. You're absolutely right. He was in 3rd a moment ago, wasn't he? But yeah, Sam Fitzpatrick going past down the start-finish straight. I think no messing from Sam. Look at that. He got it done very early on as well. So he's not hanging back. He's not sitting behind anybody and messing about, is he? He's just cracking on with the job at hand. That's 2 Williams in the top 3 now as Cam Dance sits with Kevin Zemstra. Unfortunately, Michael Jones has had a drama in the last couple of moments. We're going to stick with this view because it happens right around now. Not sure whether he's just going to go too hot into turns 1 and 2. Yes, just too hot into turn 2. And at that point, you're already on the brakes. You're already turning. The car just doesn't want to behave itself, does it?
Have a look at what's going on in the midfield, because there's all sorts of chopping and changing there. As I think John Tustin has just gotten ahead of Simon Price, who's in a lot of trouble, plenty of damages. What's going on with Ben Chalcraft as well? We were talking about his move up through the field. 2 of them might have had it coming together here.
I think that maybe a spin from Simon. Yeah, Simon spun it. Ben couldn't avoid him, and that's a big, big hit. Now the 2 of them get going, and both of them have heavy damage. Ben's car does not want to turn to the right. And I think Simon and Ben, yeah, they've both pulled over. That's such a massive shame. As near the front, Well, Sam Fitzpatrick continues this charge. He started 7th on the grid. He's up to 2nd. He's like, stuff it. Jake's further down the order. Cam's basically going to have this title wrapped up if he finishes the race now. Sam is going for this win. He is not lingering. Look at this. He'll go straight for the lead. He's going to say, stuff it. I'm not sitting behind you in that daft Ferrari now for any longer. He's just going to go straight through. And Sam Fitzpatrick, in a matter of laps, goes from 5th position into the lead of the Japanese Grand Prix for Williams Mechachrome. He's not saving fuel, he's not playing games, he is just absolutely nailing this car around this circuit right now, which is great to see considering that he's got this confidence after not having a very good qualifying session for his standards, Ed.
Yeah, he never seems to do well in qualifying because we saw it at Monza. He didn't really have the strongest performances, but then into the pits, actually Jake Cranston seemingly serving his repairs. It's fair to say he's taken it. It looks all clean on the left-hand side. Goes through the rear end of the Porsche safety car. Back up and running now. So that's done and out of the way. And now he can go up until the end of the race. Needs to keep a check on his lap times and see if they're faster than Sam Fitzpatrick and by how much. Because we saw in qualifying there was the deficit of around about half a second. It was actually, I think, in the end between Jake's lap and Sam's lap. So now that they're both in clear air, will we maybe be seeing Jake Cranston with a shot of getting back into this race somehow? It'll be, almost a pipe dream, but sometimes that's all you can really think about are dreams when you're in such a desperate situation.
Just wondering actually, because Jake came in on lap 5. I mean, there's not really anything in the rules that says it has to be a meatball, to be fair. I mean, if it's damage that is affecting the car and how it drives, then you're allowed to pit. So, yeah, I was just going to say, surely if it was a meatball flag, he would have been in by lap 3. But no, he's decided that the damage is too much to continue on with. He's taken his stop, and now he's just going to push on with the car at its best.
Like you say, it's about affecting the car, and I think he was taking a few laps just to see how much it was affecting the car, because he didn't really have too much to go off of the car in perfect shape, in good condition. So I think he's seeing his lap times compared to how they were in qualifying, and maybe also getting feedback from his crew chief of the lap times being done by the leaders, and realizes actually, this is quite a lot of damage done to the car, and it's worth coming to the pits for, because again, from the point of view of the drivers in the cockpit, they don't really get a good idea of the state of their car.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen it before, haven't we, where drivers just had a real nightmare of damage.
It was at Winton, I think it was, where it was Jake Cranston who had a huge chunk taken out of his front wing, but he kept going, didn't take any fast repairs because he wasn't aware.
Yeah, it's very true, actually. It's all about making sure that if the car feels all right, you just carry on, I suppose. But then again, it's very easy to be dragging a car around that doesn't feel right and just think, oh, maybe I'm not losing too much time, but you're actually losing quite a lot. I don't know. It's difficult to put together sometimes, isn't it?
So difficult when you don't have the side-by-side references that we have. As whoa, look at that! Jack Stiles darting down the inside of John Roberts. John did very well there to leave space down on the inside and to not really upset the rhythm of front 5. Again, though, drivers, they do have a tendency, you've noticed it a lot in previous broadcasts, that they have a tendency to allow cars through, like almost into the braking zone. So look at this side-by-side through 130R. Kevin Zemstra down the inside, and Sam, is he going to try and find it back on the inside into the Casse Triangle? He's going to go for it. Of course he is. This Sam Fitzpatrick, he doesn't know the meaning of concede.
Fantastic. Well, you're absolutely right, though, Ed. We have seen it in a few broadcasts recently, not just in Boremula 1, but other series that we broadcast together, where a lapped car will be letting traffic through, but they'll only let them through at the last moment. Like, you would have expected them to be already passed by the time they've gone halfway down the start-finish straight, and back out on the exit. Sam is not hanging back at all, is he? He's really throwing everything at this, and these guys are racing as hard as possible. It's great to watch. Toby Ward and Martin Kenyon are having a dice a bit further down the order, as well as Martin runs a little bit deep and nearly makes contact. Toby gets out of that, tries to get a cutback on the exit, gets a really good run, but again, doesn't quite work out, and Martin holds the position now as they go back up the hill. But back to the front, look at these 5 all stuck to each other. Pete Harrod's got possibly the best view in the house. Sam Fitzpatrick's Jack Stiles is a little bit further away from it than he'd like to be. Ben Chalcraft is the next car that they would be lapping a bit further up the road, but this battling's actually slowing them down a little bit compared to what Ben is doing. He's now out of the points though for Jordan, so actually Ferrari could potentially overtake them here as long as Kevin Zemstra scores solid points near the top of this championship battle. I'll do the maths, Ed. I'll do the maths.
You do the maths. I'll keep my eyes on the road because I'm not very good with numbers. The only time I was good with numbers was when I was trying to work out the race distance in Colin the Caterpillar Cakes, but I don't have the time to work out distance here. So we'll focus more on the action at hand and also potential championship battle emerging, because let's not forget this is a 5-way fight for the lead of the race. We keep an eye on Jake Cranston. He did drop back quite a lot on account of his incident, but he's got plenty of time to try and reel that back. If these front drivers continue to battle where they are and maybe lose half a second or so a lap, could be close, and then all of a sudden they're right in the thick of it. And if Cameron Dance drops back a position or two, we could still be talking about Jake Cranston title.
You never know. Just depends on what Jake can do, I suppose, in terms of his recovery. Before any of them change places, as it lies right now... Oh no, Mike Murphy's changed places. He's gained a place. As it is right now, Stuart Ford would have 58 points and would ultimately move up to 6th in the Constructors' Championship, leapfrogging Arrow's Yamaha, who would stay where they are on 52 points, and Sauber would drop 2 places down into 8th on 51 points. So 7 points between all 3 constructors after this race if it finishes as is, with Arrow staying where they are and Sauber and Stewart swapping around either side of them. So it's all still to play for in that team's championship. And here is another battle in the middle pack. Look, Martin Kenyon, Toby Ward, Mike Murphy, John Tusting and Rob Lundgren all separated by just 2.3 seconds.
So still wide open, isn't it, Chaz, in the championships up and down the field. So look at this, Rob Lundgren going over the curbs. It does look almost like it's on the verge of having a massive incident when the car bounces and slides its way through that little right-hand kink, but the driver seems to be used to it. Look at that, there's a bit of a moment but for the Sauber of Mike Murphy. John Tusting's going to be right on him all the way to the upcoming left-hander. And that front wing damage, that's just adding to the drag, slowing him down as they come into the braking zone. Going to hang on though, Chaz.
He is. Mike Murphy making moves up into 9th position. John Tusting now behind him. Martin Kenyon's gained 10 places in this race so far. Started right at the back of the grid after not setting a time in qualifying. He did a great job last night as well in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge at Manicourt. Got himself a top 10. He messaged me afterwards and said I wasn't even expecting a top 15 in this championship, let alone a top 10. So he's on good form, to say the least, at the moment, is Martin Kenyon, and obviously trying to score big points for Prost Peugeot. I don't think there's many close battles in terms of those manufacturers a bit further down. Hats off to Crimson as well, by the way, for picking up on me saying that there are 2 Williams running in the top 3, which is obviously a very 90s nostalgic phrase to come out with. Lovely to hear. And there still is 2 Williams in the top 3. 2nd and 3rd places at the moment. Kevin Zemstra starting to stretch his legs a little bit, really, isn't he, Ed? It's looking good for him at this moment in time. He's got the pace underneath him, and he's actually opened up a gap of 9/10 of a second. So as long as he can keep it tidy on the twisty bits, he'll carry on getting away from Sam Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that was his fastest lap of the race this far, or so far. I'm not sure if he can keep this pace up, you know, with a lot of the drivers that keep piling the pressure on. It's so easy just to make a little mistake here and there, and because it's such a long lap where you're almost always doing something, there isn't really anywhere that you can have a break and chill out at all. I mean, even down here, it's, as we have John Tusting with a big moment, even sort of on the section they're going through, while it is a flat-out section, there's always some sort of steering angle being taken.
Sorry, we had 2 dramas here, Ed. Rob Lundgren's had a moment. Oh, John Tusting and Rob Lundgren both have the same moment here. Look at this. If we go on board with Rob Lundgren, you'll see both of them hit the Astro and lose it at the same time. Wow. I've never seen that.
Really well done by Rob Lundgren.
Yeah, very, very good.
Locks the brakes
save.
as soon as it goes sideways to keep the trajectory of the car predictable and out of the barriers. Unfortunately, John Tusting with a heavy hit to the side, and that's going to be suspension damage. The car does not want to really do anything that he wants it to do, so
No.
takes it into the pit lane. Like you say, Kevin Zemstra is building a bit of an advantage, and again, another 1 minute 56 sort of lap time, 1 minute 56.87. He's definitely stretching his legs, like you're rightly pointing out here, but Sam Fitzpatrick as well, matching his times, that's important.
Yeah, Sam's doing everything he can do right now just to stick with them, and so are the guys behind as well. Jack Stiles and Pete Harrod looking good. John Tusting says Toby Ward was dropping oil or something. I like that. But obviously it's just one of those things in these races. A tiny little moment like that can really upset the car, and all it takes is to just push that little bit too hard. And a track like this, an old school circuit like this especially, will really bite you in the backside, won't it? That's the thing. It's not one of these sort of modern circuits with a load of runoff. Jake Cranstone, by the way, has just overtaken Michael Jones and has now got himself further into the points. You get points in the top 12 of this championship. So Jake Cranstone now in 11th is at least getting 2 points for where he currently finds himself. And he can go to the end, actually, without another pit stop, technically. So we'll see what he can do, Ed. We'll keep our eye on him as he rises back through the order.
Yeah, just obviously it's going to be so difficult for him to get a whole lot out of this evening, but if he can still get around about 8 points from the evening and something happens to Cam Dance, for example, he can still win the title. So it's not a foregone conclusion, but it is looking very good for the man currently in third place. But Cam is going to be a great driver to have behind you if you're Sam Fitzpatrick, because not only are you teammates, but you also know that he's got a lot more to lose than you do. He's got a title to lose. You don't. You're not really in the fight, but you're fighting, in Sam's case, for his first race victory. And I think he's going to be really looking to set himself up for that when we get to the pit stops. Obviously, the pit window is open for all drivers now, not just the ones that have had damage earlier on. John Tusting has taken, well, not really advantage of that because he pitted for damage, but Mike Kenyon and Mike Murphy are as they dive into the pits from 7th and 8th.
These guys just now crawling down the very long pit lane here at Suzuka. I often forget how downhill the start-finish straight is at Suzuka. It really does sort of sweep down gradually. I mean, you see it in the pit lane as well. If people are all the way over on the right-hand side by the garages, there's almost steps to it, like it notches down like it does at Donington Park sometimes, but at Donington it's the other way around. It notches upwards instead. But these guys are very, very feisty behind Kevin Zemstra. But it looks more like Sam Fitzpatrick is imagining some sort of made-up pressure from his teammate Cam Dance. Sam's just pushing so hard, I think it's actually him making mistakes and backing these lot up here. It's a very odd thing to see, but right now we don't have the usual of a race leader under massive pressure from the cars behind. They're just sort of filling the mirrors a bit while Kevin holds a decent gap.
Could also be Sam is not pushing through the corners as hard as, say, all of the others, maybe conserving some tyre life for the end of the race to fight with in those all-important final 3 laps where the drivers really do start to push and barge into each other a little bit more. Kevin Zemstra, though, he is absolutely rapid here. And some great laps. I mean, his qualifying time was certainly nothing to turn your nose up at. Qualified on the front row, of course, alongside Jake Cranston.
We've got Mike Murphy.
We know how Jake Cranston race has gone so far. Sorry, Chaz, go on.
I was just going to say, we've got Mike Murphy here just trying to get further inside the points into 11th position. Michael Jones holds on to 12th place at the moment. Now he's a minute and a quarter ahead of Ben Chalcraft. So all Michael needs to do is just keep it on the straight and narrow, and he would score his first championship point of the season, and would mean also that every driver that has raced up to this point, or all of our current drivers, have scored points this season. So Michael just needs to keep it tidy and he will complete the list essentially. Looking at the battle for third in the Drivers' Championship, which is something we really should keep an eye on actually, Ed, because it's between Pete Harrod and Sam Fitzpatrick, isn't it? There are wonderful people in the YouTube chat as well. Hats off to Alison Jeffries for mentioning the battle between the two, because if I'm honest, we'd sort of focused on the teams championship so much that we'd forgotten that between Pete and Sam there is still points on the board to be sorted out here. Only 3 points between them coming into this last race of the season. So, I mean, it's all still to play for, Ed, in more ways than one, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many excellent storylines that have been written over the course of this season that will be coming to a close here tonight. One that I'm really looking forward to seeing the conclusion of will be Sam Fitzpatrick, will he or won't he, for that race victory, because he's been sort of dropping off the pace a little bit, but now has been closing back down to Kevin Zemstra, and you never really know which way it's going to go with Sam, do you?
No, absolutely not. He's actually, at this moment in time, he's going to be tied with Pete Harrod on points, but he's had more podiums. Sam has finished on the podium 4 times this season, and all of them were in second place, whereas Pete Harrod's 2 podiums were both third place as well. So it looks to me like right now it's all going to be down to where they finish within this top 5, basically, because it seems like they're all going to finish there. Jack Stiles in the background could have something to say about it as well. They'll still be saving quite a bit of fuel in certain places of this circuit because the start-finish straight's very long. You've got the back stretch as well up to 130R. So a lot of places to get it right, and obviously lengthen your stint, let's say. Toby Ward has now come into the pit lane, teammate of the driver that we're on board with right now, Jack Stiles. You can see he's pushing the curves a little bit harder as well. Thank you again, Alison, for pointing that out. I'm very, very disappointed in myself for missing that one. So thank you very much for reminding us. Rob Lundgren going down the start-finish straight after his earlier drama. He's up into 7th position now, but of course pit stops still need to be accounted for. There are the pit stops on the left. Jake Cranstone now finds himself in 8th position. So this pace that he's had has been really good, actually. He's gaining points.
Highest of the runners, who was pitted as well, actually.
Yeah, he's ahead, look, of Martin Kenyon by 2 seconds. So he's really been making use of the car going at its best as, Simon Price is off the road. Simon's carried on after his drama earlier. And he's just had a spin there, I'm afraid, which has dropped him a few seconds further back. As no, I mentioned it, didn't I? Michael Jones just needs to keep it tidy, and he's lost it on the exit of turn 2. He needs to stop spinning up the rears as well, otherwise it'll go around again. He just needs to chill out. He needs to just chill out, not spin the rears too much. He's still on the throttle. You can see him putting corrective oversteer in. There we go. He gets going, but Ben Chalcraft is now going to be closing in and in and in. He's still a long way back, but Michael Jones has lost a bucket load of time even now to the car behind. He just needs to hold on to that points position and keep it tidy. That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, but it's easier said than done, isn't it? It's all he needs to do. But when you've got so many other drivers battling around with you, filling your rearview mirrors, it can be nigh impossible to manage and judge. But one thing that Kevin's had that has gone well for him was the earlier phase of the race where he was saving fuel, and that might help him with the slightly shorter pits. Of course, Cam Dance, he's always had someone to sort of save the fuel off of. So he's in an even better position. I think he's probably the best poised driver out of all of them for when they come into the pit lane to leapfrog them and get into the lead of the race.
It's what we've seen him do so many times in the Formula One World Championship. Alison saying that the battle is sending her anxiety through the roof. I think Alison's actually Pete's partner. I've only just added 2 and 2 together. I'm so sorry, Alison, because Pete was doing some flying about a week ago, actually, and there was somebody live streaming at Liverpool Airport when Pete was actually taking off, and I remember Alison's name from that as well. So I'm so sorry, Alison, but welcome to the stream. Hope you're enjoying yourself, bar the anxiety. But Pete doing well at the moment in 4th position. Like I say, he was round here the other night saying that he was worried that Sam was going to make a last stand here at Suzuka and really go for it, because he knows how, well, fittingly, kamikaze Sam's driving can be, actually, Ed. It's a great place to call it that. But it's a great race to get it done as well. Some of these guys are really pushing on now, and I think we're going to see pit stops in the next lap also, because it's a long lap here at Suzuka. I don't think the fuel tanks will last much more than this.
Sam's going to dive up the inside into 130R. I thought he was going to wait till the Casio triangle, but no, he's going for it early. Look at them pushing each other just through the corner, and now Sam Fitzpatrick around the outside, the Casio triangle.
Too
now
deep.
Can Kevin Zemstra dive it up the inside? Oh, they're going to come to blows. It's so close on the exit. And now look at this, Cam Dance perfectly poised to take a punch, but he doesn't. He goes straight around the outside because of that extra time spent saving fuel. He can go that one extra lap longer in this stint, and now with clear air, it's time to see what the New Zealander can do. this is going to be a real important lap for him if he's to win this race tonight.
Great to see Joachim Eberts in the Facebook chat as well. He said, is this warm-up for the weekend, Chaz? Absolutely, my friend. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm taking off at 6 a.m. in the morning, actually, to go to Germany. I'm going to Frankfurt and then down to the Nürburgring for the weekend for the ADAC International Truck Grand Prix and the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, and I am hyper excited for it. It's usually my best weekend of the year, my most enjoyable, with some wonderful family and friends. Well, I say family, there's none of my family out there, but they feel like family. Do all of the truck races and, of course, the personnel involved. Look at Jake Cranstone here, Ed. He's up into 6th position right now. He's gained a lot of time on all the other drivers with the pace that he's had. I mean, we knew he was quick, obviously, with the pole position time that he set. But, I mean, this, even if he doesn't win the title out of this by the end, this has been one of the best recovery drives we've seen all season from anybody. Considering the circumstances as well, his heart would sink, but he's done a great job.
He's been doing a brilliant job, and he's just doing all he can do to fight and get back into the picture, but you can see that he's still several seconds back, and it's just, I think, going to slip away from him. But again, it's going to be part of thinking, oh, what could have been if he wasn't missing that one round earlier on in the season. But of course, he knows he's got the pace with him, and if there is a third season, he'll be right there challenging for the championship.
Absolutely will be. I wanted to point out as well, actually, Joachim Eberts, who I mentioned before, is the German commentator for the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. Great friend and colleague of mine, and will be reunited at the Nürburgring in person and commentating on what they call go and stop. And honestly, go and stop is not something that could be explained with words. It's a crazy thing that the Germans do at the Nürburgring with the trucks, which would take too long for me to explain, especially while something as important as this is going on. Cam Dance into the pits, and the rest of the drivers now coming out of the final couple of corners. Andy Fox asking if I've got my passport. Yes, I do. I lost my passport this morning. Turns out I'm more prepared than I thought. It was already in my bag, but I was running around the house screaming and almost crying. So, here they come down the start-finish straight then. Zemstra's going to go through. Harrod's going to go through. Or are they? They're 3 wide into turn 1 and round the outside. Only just making it work was Pete Harrod right in the middle of that. Boy, I bet that was scary from where Cam was. But he now reslots into third. And would you believe we've had pit stops, Ed? Because look at them. All 5 of them covered by less than a second. Incredible stuff. But once again, highlighting the fun racing and constant excitement we have in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship.
This is brilliant, and I'm absolutely in love with this battle. It's been going on from the word go, all out at the front. We've had Sam Fitzpatrick sparking it into life at the early phase of the race, and now we're having Peter Harrod looking for a move up the inside of Kevin Zemstra. Cam Dance, oh, that was incredibly close. I think Cam probably backed out a little bit into turn 1 to not clip the rear end of the Jordan Mugen Honda Pete Harrod, because that would have not only hurt Pete's race, but potentially also Cam's. He might have needed a second trip through the pit lane, and at that point, all of a sudden, Jake Cranstone's in the mix yet again.
It's crazy to think, though, that we've still got 6 laps of this race, but I'm telling you now, if I was a betting man, I'd be putting money on this part of the circuit now that we're just coming into, the back stretch as it's called, being where it all changes. The slipstreaming down here through 130R is where the final move will be made. There'll be a bit of drama at the chicane on the last lap, and then that'll be it. The run out of the final corner will be oh so important. Sam Fitzpatrick saying there to Cam Dance, I want to go through. Look, you could win the championship if you just keep it tidy and sit in 4th. I want to go through. I want to win this race. I've promised these 2 Muppets in the commentary box that I'm going to win a race. Let me do it. But right now, they don't even have to worry about the team's championship either, Ed, because they figured that one out last time round. So all Cam has to do here is just sit there. He has to finish in the top 5. That's all he's got to do.
I mean, again, you say he's just got to finish in the top 5. That's all he's got to do. But again, with them battling as hard as they are, he can just take one moment and he finds himself out of the picture. So, I don't know. Sam Fitzpatrick, he's going to be really pushing hard to get those positions done as he did at the start of the race. But Kevin, he's putting himself in the perfect positions. And I mean, his pace when he gets clear air has been really quick and is, I think, difficult for the likes of Peter Harrod and all the chasing pack to really keep up with. It's only the slipstream that's allowing them to be as close as they are.
Yeah, absolutely. He's really showing him how it's done at the moment, isn't he? Is Kevin Zemstra. Unfortunately, Michael Jones has just dropped out of the points. He's had another drama, and he's been overtaken by John Roberts for P13 after his pit stop. This is what happened. Michael Jones just in front. He's going to clip the curb, and he's going to get on the power, and unfortunately, it goes around. I think, yeah, he goes backwards into the wall as well. So he's lost those points positions as Michael Jones, and now the car looks very broken. It doesn't want to play ball. Oh, goodness me, it really wants to turn left, and I think he's going to jump back to the pits because here come the leaders going by. Crimson says that Jake's had training at NASA because he's an absolute rocket ship, and he is. I mean, he's 16 seconds off Jack Styles at the moment, and considering the drama that he had earlier on and the size of the incident, it's amazing. Michael Jones is still sat there and revving the nuts off the car. He's got it into first gear and now is crawling away, but I think really he'd be saving himself a lot of hassle by towing that thing back to the pits in his current situation. He's going to try and drive it though, so hopefully doesn't hinder anyone else. No, is he going to go back to the... Yes, he is. Okay. Anyway, we carry on because look at this. Red arrows have arrived, Ed.
Here we go. There's three of them there. The two Williams and the Ferrari out in front. Gordon is just in the midst of this as well. And let's not forget Jack Styles. He's been happily sitting behind and biding his time, waiting for it all to kick off so he can take advantage. And I think now is the time where we will see it properly erupt into action as Sam Fitzpatrick has gotten up into third place now. If he does this for the next few laps, he will find himself in the lead. Just it's obviously dispatch of Pete Harrod and Kevin Zemstra first.
Yeah, we know that Sam's not going to hold back. He's not going to play the games that we've been seeing over the course of these 2 seasons that we've had in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship. It's just going to be Sam pushing like mad. He wants to take the win. He wants to get himself to the very front. And again, look, just over that curb a little bit too hard there. Upsets the car on the exit. He loses a couple of tenths of a second. Sure, he'll get the slipstream and get back with them. I mean, look how tight he's taking that hairpin. It was fantastic through there. Lovely job. Catches right up to the back of Pete Harrod's Jordan once again. That is another car that is, of course, on home soil for this round of the championship. Pete is on his way to 12 championship points, while Sam is on his way to 10 where things stand. So Pete would now be 6 points ahead in the championship. Sorry, 5 points ahead in the championship at the end, and Pete would hold third in the standings, but it's whether Sam can get ahead and then take the win. If he does that with Pete in third position, then that would mean that Sam beats him by 2 points in the standings. So even third in the championship still to play for here, Ed. There's loads going on, look.
Here we go, Mike Murphy and Mike Kenyon battling away. LaSalle obviously with a fixed front wing. Seemingly a lot more predictable and steady through the corners as Sam Fitzpatrick up into second place. Pete Harrod's dropped back, and they've all dropped back quite a lot from Kevin Zemstra.
Oh, that's not... Oh, there was contact. There was big contact between the two of them. Sam may be overdoing it slightly. I mean, Pete got hit by Cam Dance at Manny Core, and he wasn't too chuffed about it. This is what happened. So Sam goes to the right. There's not a huge gap there, but Sam just slowly drifts over to the left, and they'll have both been very lucky to have got away with that without damage. Jack Styles, I think, took Cam Dance after this, but has now dropped back behind again. And look at that, Sam's got damage. I think Pete's got damage as well, has he? How's the car behaving? It looks like the right side pod's okay as well. I think they've gotten away with that. Sam's got a little bit of damage on the front of the car, but you can imagine that in terms of the team's championship, there's no worries, but in the drivers' championship, that's not going to go down very well with Pete Harrod.
No, not going to go down well whatsoever, but it is going to go down well with Kevin Zemstra, who with just a few more laps to go has got a healthy advantage, 1.8 seconds you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there. So he's just having a wonderful time, isn't he?
Yeah, he's loving it at the moment. At the end of the day, if you can just sit behind the cars in front and then just watch what they're doing, well, it's a great thing to do. But if you can be at the front and not worry about the guys behind you in the mirrors, then that's even better, really. It takes a lot for a driver to be able to lead and not have to focus on what's going on behind them. I mean, I'm one of them where if I'm in front of somebody, just having them in the mirrors and watching how close they are behind me can just trigger me completely, and I fall apart, Post Malone style. Absolutely crumble to bits. And it doesn't take much for them to even just fake a move and overtake me. Jack Styles now trying a bit there. He was moving around behind Cam Dance and Pete Harrod, maybe just not to lose time, I guess, Ed, because it's one of those moments, isn't it, where if you just try and fill the mirrors of your rivals, or, I don't know, there's a lot of circuits that we've been to this season with very heavy braking zones where the drivers have to brake really early when they're in these little packs and in these trains. If you can put your car in a gap where you don't have to slow down as early or slow down as much, it can be slightly beneficial. Maybe not so much in the long run, but I don't know, Jack Styles making it work through there, I guess.
He's trying his best, I think, yeah, like I say, Jack, to make it work, but when you've got so many cars battling away, it's easy to have your eyes drawn to them and not to the actual track itself and to what you need to do. And of course, like I said, the dirty air can play a part. So many sweeping corners. But I think with Jack, it was a case of biding his time, and it worked out brilliantly for him at Monza, whereas here, it's not really a circuit where you can dip back and wait for the opportunities to overtake sort of present themselves to you. You need to really go and push and pressure the drivers before you can make those moves. And I think it's something that it just doesn't seem to suit his driving style here and the way that they're all racing, which is fair enough, but still, to be up there and within a shot of podium place, there's not many positions ahead of him. So why not just properly go for it? As look at Ben Chalcroft now up the inside into the Casio triangle, hanging on to 11th place. Rob Lundgren in behind.
Yeah, Rob and Ben fighting over the final points places here at the Japanese Grand Prix. We've got John Roberts, John Tusting, and Simon Price, and Michael Jones still going, although Michael's off the road at the moment on the exit of Spoon Curb. It's a real shame, actually, for Michael, because he was running in the points earlier on, but a few mistakes have put paid to that, I'm afraid, at this moment. We've then got this battle. Mike Murphy and Martin Kenyon still glued to each other in the mid-pack, both inside the top 10. Martin Kenyon's having a great drive with 8 places gained. Same can be said for Sam Fitzpatrick, really. He might be up there in second place, and sure, may not seem on paper like he's the star of the show, but he's gained 5 places of his own to get up there. Martin Kenyon goes late on the brakes. He's around the outside of Mike Murphy into the Casio triangle. They're so close together on the exit, but Mike uses that outside line to run away. We're on to the penultimate lap now of the Japanese Grand Prix. Kevin Zemstra's lead has gone down from 2.1 seconds to 1.4, so there's definite changes afoot there, and I'm not sure it's going to be enough, even if Sam Fitzpatrick keeps this pace up, to get up there. And obviously, Cam Dance is knocking on the door of his second Formula One title in 2 seasons, and in the early stages of the championship we thought it was almost inevitable he was going to do it again, but Jake Cranstone has formed a fantastic attack in the later stages of the season, but unfortunately it's fallen apart a little bit in this last round due to the simplest of mistakes earlier on. But that's just how savage this championship can be, isn't it, Ed? It's what happens here in Formula One. It can be the tiniest of things.
Yeah, and as we see, they're trying to get some slipstream, aren't they, off of the frost of John Tusting. But that was a bit better from John that time around, obviously getting well out of the way before the braking zone to not throw himself in amongst the battling pack up in front. Kevin Zemstra now, though, look at the advantage he's going to have as they get over the line. Nearly 1.5 seconds to Sam Fitzpatrick. And I think it's just going to be about nursing the car home more than anything else for Kevin to come home with the race victory. Look at Cam Dance diving up the inside. He wants that podium from Pete Harrod, but Pete's not going to let him have it that easily.
He's certainly not. There's a battle going on here as well. Ben Chalcroft and Rob Lundgren still fighting with each other. No! Ben spins it and Rob goes with him. I can't believe we've caught that just in time. Unbelievable choreography, boys. But yes, Kevin Zemstra has started the final lap of the race, the final lap of the season in the CDM Boremula One World Championship by F1Countdown.com. Season 2 coming to an end here in the 10th round of the season. We had 13 races in Season 1, but they were a lot shorter. And now, of course, 10 races in Season 2, but much longer, nearly an hour apiece in these races. And the drivers have been loving the fact that the races are longer because they've got more time to think about what they're doing and more time to put pressure on one another and race hard like you can in these cars. Some of them worried about it at the start of the season, saying that all we were doing was just sort of delaying the inevitable and the fuel saving. But the art form of being able to do that and hold on like these drivers do, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Really does show the capability they've got. But Kevin Zemstra leads the way in the Ferrari from Sam Fitzpatrick in the Williams. And I tell you what, It's going to be like Sam's strapped a jet engine to the back of this Williams right now. He is pushing so hard. I can hear him from here squeaking as he tries to get back up to that Ferrari. He's lost a couple of tenths there, Ed. Do you think he can do it?
He's taken a few tenths actually over the course of this lap already. Through the first sector, he gained about half a second. So he'll need to have a really demon last sort of half of the lap, and you can see he's chucking into the car and it's trying to break away from him at every single moment. Camp the steering, but he's gaining time because of it. That's how you drive the car, is by sliding it all the way through proper four-wheel drifting. But he's not going to be close enough to make any sort of attack into the last real overtaking opportunity of the Castillo Triangle.
Doesn't look like it. Through 130R once more goes Kevin Zemstra. Sam Fitzpatrick in second. Pete Harrod holding on to third for now with Cam Dance closing in. Pete covers the inside line. Cam tries to go around the outside. Does he make it work? Pete's late on the brakes and Cam's sideways. He saves it. Out of the final corner though, Kevin Zemstra is going to take his second win in the Formula 1 World Championship for Ferrari. Sam Fitzpatrick finishes second. Cam Dance somehow holds the podium. Jack Stiles finishes in fourth. And Pete Harrod with that is going to lose that position in the championship to Sam Fitzpatrick, who claims third. Commiserations to Jake Cranstone. What a season for him. But boy, what a finale and what a race winner in Kevin Zemstra. But your two-time champion of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship is Cam Dance, everybody. Congratulations to the New Zealander.
What an excellent job by Cam. He's the driver with the most race victories in Formula 1 for a reason. He's also taken the most race victories from this season as well. Actually, I think tied with Jake Cranston, I believe.
He's got 5 over Jake's 4.
He's got 5 over Jake's 4. Okay, so that was the all-important race victory for him to have won essentially 50% of this season's races, which is a silly statistic when you think about it.
It really is. I think his win percentage in Formula 1 is like 62% now or something stupid. Kevin Zemstra becomes the third driver ever to win more than one race in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship, and he's taken a podium finish from the last 3 races. It seems like Kevin really does come on strong in the later part of the season, because like I say, that's his third podium on the bounce, of course, the most important one being on the top step. But even in season 1, actually, when you saw what Kevin was doing when it comes to the last sort of races of the championship, I'm just getting the spreadsheet up now because I checked it out a little bit earlier on. Sorry, bear with me. He took 7 podiums on the bounce, including a race win and 4 second places in season 1, did Kevin Zemstra. And there you go, he's done it again, Ed. We caught it. We caught it. Fantastic stuff. Great entertainment by all involved. And we're not even finished yet, actually, because I think there's still a car to cross the line. John Roberts has just crossed the line, and he was the last one to finish the race, just outside of the points, unfortunately. Rob Lundgren and Toby Ward apparently having a fantastic race to the end, by the look of it. These two were very, very close as they came to the end. Sorry, Rob Lundgren and Ben Chalcraft coming to the line. Apparently separated by next to nothing. So let's have a look back at this. So this is how the guys crossed the line. Well, that was the drama in front then. So Jack Stiles says, thanks very much, I'll take advantage of that. I think Pete damaged his car because, look, yeah, it doesn't want to turn at all. But this was the... Oh, they've got almost an entire lap between these guys, actually. And these two finishing. Well, we'll stay on board with this. A bit of entertainment to finish the season. This was for the last 2 championship points finishes. Big shout-outs today for Martin Kenyon and Toby Ward, by the way. Toby Ward gained 6 places to finish 10th. Martin Kenyon gained 8 places to finish in 9th. Those two securing some very important championship points there. We'll look at the championship standings and everything and do the maths in just a moment's time. But let's enjoy this final lap, shall we? On board with Ben Chalcraft as he was in pursuit of Rob Lundgren. Like I say, there was 4 tenths, it says, between the two of them. No, not even that. 400ths of a second between them at the end of the race. And you can see that corner by corner here, Ed, he's just edging in on him, isn't he? He's just catching up bit by bit.
And looks for the outside line. And then as it pinches off the apex, gets in the power, but there's more parking on the apex actually by Rob Lundgren, which is why he gets such a better exit, because Ben can't get on the throttle as early as he wants to. Again, Ben's going to just lift off a little bit to stay within the slipstream for the next sector. You just see he's putting his car in the right place, isn't he? Just to get the really run. Go for the move, just to get the run out of the corner. But I think Rob Lundgren actually gets a really nice exit, which This is what sort of keeps Ben Childcraft at bay for a little bit, but look at the closing speed of these two. It's even though it's still the medium downforce setup. And looking all the way around the outside. Oh, in towards the Casse triangle. It's brave to try and go there, but both of them sort of have little lockups. And then powering out of the corner.
Oh,
the
no!
runner's there, and he's going to go for the inside line. He finds the gap, he squeezes through.
Oh,
doesn't get the position.
Fantastic entertainment by those pair at the end of the race. Very, very well done. Kevin Zemstra was already doing donuts by that point, and here is some of the celebrations. Kevin's been working so hard for this. It's great to see him get that result for Ferrari. But let's have a look at the race results, shall we? I'll bring the right results up this time because I think I was just about to do qualifying. Kevin Zemstra wins the race. Less than half a second between him and Sam Fitzpatrick when they cross the line. Cam Dance takes third position and his second title. Jack Stiles finishes in fourth place ahead of Pete Harrod. Commiserations to Pete in that final moment there. I think actually that was what lost him the championship third place right at the end there. In that little bit of contact that they had. That'll be devastating. Jake Cranstone, what a recovery and what a season as well. Jake's been fantastic. He really has been. It's been wonderful to have him, and hats off to him for that second place in the standings. Stuart Clark as well in 7th. Mike Murphy in 8th. Good points for those guys again. Stuart had a very lonely race, actually. Martin Kenyon finishes 9th, and Toby Ward gets the top 10. Then we had the very entertaining Rob Lundgren and Ben Chalcraft. Great entertainment, gentlemen. Thank you very much for what you did. John Roberts and John Tusting next up, with Simon Price finishing a lap down. Michael Jones and Ben Hoffman, unfortunately, not finishing the race. So, for the final time this season, everybody, we're going to get some interviews on the go, and we're going to speak to some of our drivers. The first of which has to be our two-time now champion, Cam Dance. Cam, over the moon, I'm sure, mate, for your second title on the bounce. But boy, that wasn't an easy night of it, was it? That was great, frantic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really, really good to get the second one on the board. Obviously, I've saved you on shipping as well.
Yes.
Yeah, it was a bloody hectic night, to be honest, the racing. Like, everything that was just going on in the top four was just absolutely mad. And even on that last lap, it was pretty nuts to end up sideways, fully sideways, like on the opposite lock, and managing to save it from Pete. But yeah, no, really, really cool night of racing, to be honest. It's been an absolutely awesome season as well. So, yeah.
Well, this circuit certainly gives a lot of opportunity for some great racing as well, and obviously the championship going your way as soon as the race got underway, pretty much. Was what happened to Jake in the back of your mind the whole time, or were you just focusing on the guys around you and not really worrying about that?
Sort of it was. Jack was keeping me up to date with what was going on as far as gaps and stuff, where I was having a look as well myself, just to see where we were all at and what we might need to do as far as strategy. But nah, at the end of the day, like, I saw like it was going to be a massive ask for him to try and catch back up, so it was sort of just soldier on and try and do what we could with what's in front of us. So it wasn't too much of a drama, but at the same time we obviously have to think about it a little bit and just make sure it's not distracting you too much.
Well, it's been, again, fantastic to watch you, Cam. Third season, you'll be here, won't you?
Yeah, probably. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. I might want to sleep. But we'll see. Hopefully I'm planning to be here.
Well, we would certainly look forward to having you back again, Cam, to see if you can do the treble. But for now, mate, congratulations on your second title. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout-out to?
Yeah, just obviously shout out to Jack and Sam for the whole season. They've put in a lot of yards as well to do it, so awesome work on them to bring home some good championship points, and obviously some good race results as well along the way, especially Sam to make it a team's championship as well. So that's 2 seasons in a row that I've managed to make it happen. And yeah, obviously all the boys for all the awesome racing all year long, season long I should say, but not quite through the year. Just been such awesome fun with Jesper and Jake and everybody else who's pushed it along the way. So looking forward to seeing what might happen next season. And yeah, obviously all the team at Orbit Motorsport and all our partners for the awesome support, and you guys for the awesome series and broadcast.
Well, thank you very much, Cam. Always a pleasure to speak to you, mate. And hopefully in future I'll be able to let you get a little bit more sleep. So thank you very much for waking up at stupid o'clock and still being able to perform like you do.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Well, there we go then. Double champion Cam Dance taking the top honours, and I tell you what, somebody that really did himself proud tonight, I have to say, was Jake Cranstone, who joins us now in the commentary box. First off, Jake, commiserations on the championship. Not an easy night for you, I imagine, but what a comeback drive though. You must be very confident and still happy with what you've managed there to get back up into 6th place.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm a bit gutted, but I knew that the championship was a far reach, and then seeing Silas and Jesper not making it tonight also made the chances even slimmer. So yeah, it was a tough ask. I did everything I could in quali, and then when I've had my usual start, and then the car just did one of those unpredictable moments, and I don't know. I keep watching the replay back, and I still have no idea why the car did what it did. I did so many laps of practice, that never happened. It's just one of those things.
Unfortunately is, buddy, but still, you had a great charge back up the order, and to be fair, a lot of the cars you overtook you probably didn't even see along the way. What's it like trying to keep your head in the game when you've got no other cars as a visual reference point around here? How do you sort of keep it focused like that?
I was just, quali lap after quali lap, but unfortunately with the extra fuel I had in the car, I wasn't quite as quick as the guys at the front with the slipstream and stuff, so I think I ended up falling back even further, so yeah.
Well, what have you made of the whole season though, Jake? It's been great to have you on board, and obviously a very welcome addition and somebody to challenge Cam right at the top. Have you enjoyed being a part of Formula One?
Yeah, it's been fantastic. As soon as I saw you doing it last season, I was like, I need to get in on that action. And it's just been fabulous. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you very much, Jake. Great to have you. Is there anyone you'd like to give a final shout out to for the end of the season?
Yeah, well, everyone, they know who they are, who's watching, so thank you for the support this season. Sorry I couldn't pull it through at the end. And yeah, hopefully see you again soon.
Thank you very much, Jake. Always a pleasure, and we will definitely see you again soon, mate. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
So from second place in the championship, we move to the driver that finished second in the race after a great recovery, but third in the championship, moving ahead of Pete Harrod in the dying embers of the season. Sam Fitzpatrick, you must be a very happy boy right now. You worked so hard for that, mate. Very well done.
Yeah, I think it's like my fifth second place though of the season. So, but those final few laps were a lot of fun. Those final few laps were probably the most fun I've had this season. Fuel saving gets boring after a bit, and to actually be able to push for once on the best circuit in the world, it was nice. So well done to Kevin, because I was catching a bit, but
yeah.
I needed a mistake from him, and he did not budge. I did not see a single apex miss from him. He was really good.
Well, we were really enjoying watching you push, because we knew it was going to be complete banzai lap after banzai lap from you tonight. And obviously qualifying didn't quite go your way, but as soon as the race got underway, we knew that you weren't going to linger and sit behind somebody. Obviously, the love of the circuit certainly helps, doesn't it? It just makes you feel at one with the car and the circuit itself. What is it particularly that you like about Suzuka?
I mean, where do I start, Chaz? It's perfect. Like, every corner, you can't improve. To drive, it's fantastic. To race, it's fantastic. It's like narrow. It's so good. And so yeah, I wanted to get to the front just to be able to drive some fast laps around this place. There's no point in driving around Suzuka and not pushing it. So got to the front, had a nice few laps. Then wanted to save a little bit of fuel just to help out the strategy a bit. And then of course came out and it was all kind of reset. And obviously had that incident with Pete, and I mean it was a real shame, because I think Pete's probably the safest driver, probably the guy who I trust most of all out on circuit. And so I hope there's no hard feelings, because from my perspective it was a racing incident. I was sort of going straight, but the track curves ever so slightly, so he was curving ever so slightly, and so it was a real tight one. So hopefully it feels not the best to get third place in the championship because of it. So hopefully there's no bad feelings.
Well, hopefully not, mate. I mean, you guys have all been so friendly with one another all season, and it's a great vibe in the paddock, so I'm sure there won't be. We do have to, unfortunately, move on to the final interview of the season. Is there anybody that you would like to give a shout-out to, though, Sam? And honestly, again, from us, thank you. It's been very entertaining to have you.
Well, thanks. I'm glad that I brought some entertainment. I think, I haven't given a shout-out to the Beef and Dairy Network podcast. The number one podcast for those involved or just interested in the beef and dairy industry, so quick shout out to them. Thanks to Apex Racing Simulators for for offering or for letting me drive their rigs constantly. Thanks to Lewis Ward for letting me drive his rig at Manucore. And thanks to all the drivers, because it has been a very fun season. I have enjoyed every single round. I haven't been hit off at all, so it's been really clean driving, and of course thanks to you guys, and particularly you, Chaz, as well for putting it on. I look forwards if there is going to be a season 3.
Well, thank you very much, Sam. Nicely said, and I'll certainly check that podcast out, because I am, as you know, a massive enthusiast when it comes to the beef and dairy industry. Thank you very much, though, for joining us, mate, and of course we will look forward to seeing you on our screens again very, very soon.
Cool, thanks guys.
Cheers. The Beef and Dairy Podcast. Right. Okay. We'll move very quickly on to Jack Styles. Jack, are you a fan of beef and dairy and podcasts, my friend?
Beef and dairy and podcast? Oh, I'm not sure about that.
Not quite the combination.
No.
So tonight's combination, though, Suzuka, Pro Mazdas, you lot, not bad, eh?
Oh, that was awesome. It was just... I think that's one of the hardest races I've had all season long. Just purely... all three of us know how quick these front runners are, and I was hanging on for dear life for all 22 laps of that race. I knew I needed a podium to beat Jesper in the championship, so that was what I was aiming for, but I just didn't have the tyres in the last 5 laps, and I had a slight distraction on the Twitch stream after I got raided by Pablo and 400 people. So it was the Formula One has got a little bit more famous tonight, but I think that distracted me a little bit. But no, that was an awesome way to round off the season.
And what a season it's been. I mean, it's been so busy from the get-go. Has there been any other standout highlights for you so far? Or throughout the season, I should say?
Just all of it. I mean, I wasn't feeling that confident after pre-season testing. I struggled to get a feel for the car, especially on medium downforce. It's not my preferred setup for this car. I preferred the high downforce we ran at the start of the first season, but either way, it's as the cars come to me over the season, I think I've just got a little bit more settled, and the battles have been incredible. Every single race, especially the races I've fought back, however frustrating they are. To come through the pack, and the racing mostly has been really, really good. So, yeah, it's just been fantastic.
Well, it's been wonderful to have you, Jack. And, I mean, you alluded before I grabbed you in that you have a potential surprise for us. What made...
Well, that was the surprise, the being raided by 400 people.
I see. Yeah, it's interesting how... how it can reach other audiences. But, this is the thing. You drivers stream your viewpoints at certain times, and I'm always grateful for that, because the outreach of Formula One can always be improved. I don't do enough, really, to promote it myself, but still, it's great to hear that it's reached a new audience tonight, and hopefully they're still watching if you're still streaming now.
I've ended the stream now, because I usually end once I finish racing, but...
There probably would have been choice words anyway afterwards. I know what you're like.
Yeah, you're not wrong there, mate. Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to see, and I know you've alluded to potentially having it back again. So hopefully there was a few more people who were very interested in it, and I think they raided with about 8 laps to go. I think by the end there was still about 100 people watching. So there was a fair few people stuck around to watch the end, and it was an awesome battle. I had the best seat in the house because I was sat at the back, and I got to advantage of that last incident into the final corner between Pete and Cam, and I think that is my best result of the season, so yeah, I'm chuffed.
Well, it's been great to have you, Jack, and again, thank you for all your hard work in choreographing these idiots during qualifying as well. It's been greatly appreciated. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
Yeah, first of all, everyone in the series, it's been awesome fun. Thank you to all the drivers for their sort of coordination and help in qualifying. It took a few rounds to get there, but we got there eventually.
Oh, wow.
Massive shout out to Cam and Sam, obviously, but also to Kevin and Silas. They were with us for the start of the season, and the racing has just been awesome all the way through. Same with Pete, same with Jake and Jesper. So the guys at the front, everyone, it's just been awesome fun.
Well, thank you very much, Jack. Always a pleasure, like I say, mate. And, of course, look forward to hopefully seeing you again very, very soon, mate. Have a good evening.
We shall see. Thank you, mate.
Cheers. Well, Ed, there we go.
Wow.
Our final interviews of the season, mate. And obviously a moment for us two to wrap up, because this has been one fantastic championship. Great battling once again. And if I'm honest, I think it's even eclipsed Season 1 somehow. It's just been awesome. Great friendliness again. Awesome camaraderie. I don't know how we can beat this.
Yeah, well, we'll have to find out in the future, of course. One thing that is on the horizon is the new season coming up on Chaz Draycott Media, isn't there, Chaz? But I mean, we can look to the future, but right now, the here and now is just, we're off of the back of an amazing championship. It did go down to the final round, which wasn't really the case last season in the Formula One. But I mean, you've got to say congratulations to Cam Dance. He did everything that he needed to do. Had a bit of a hiccup at Monza, that bounced back from that brilliantly, and then commiserations to Jake Cranston. Just one little mistake early on in the race, and there was just no coming back from it. But credit to him, because I know a lot of drivers that would have just packed it in and given up and not taken it till the checkered flag. So, I mean, great character on display there from Jake.
Yeah, there really was. And thank you, Ed, as well, for the co-commentary this season. It's been great fun once again sharing the box with you. Thank you to all the drivers for their fantastic camaraderie and friendliness, and overall, amazing, amazing racing. Thank you, iRacing, for giving us this fantastic little car. Thank you to all the people that have been watching in the streams as well. It's been wonderful to have you. And, of course, the championship sponsors, F1Countdown.com, Abruzzi Racewear, and Sim Racing Magazine. What do you reckon, everybody? Should we do it again in October? I think, yeah. I'll tell you what.
The schedule's free.
We're going to do it all again in October, everybody. But for now, enjoy the rest of your evening. And we'll see you again very soon here on Chaz Draycott Media. Good night.
4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. The 3 wide again, Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across, they're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
Before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition. And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been mugged and it's ready to go out. Ben Gregory now, I love it. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.